Oh, nice. Hey there, guys. How is everybody doing tonight? Good evening, or wherever you may find yourself. Um, so, I am very tired, but I wanted to start this video off by saying that depending on what side of the Israel Palestine thing you find yourself at, I don't think that it necessarily matters. Um, as a non-true follower, believer of God or any gods, but do believe in God, know that humanity is one, and no matter who you are, what God you do believe in, I am a human after all, and innocent lives of humans being lost, kids, innocent women, fathers, whole families being wiped, societies being blotched off the map, whole generations, families being lost to war. It's not fun. It's not something that we have personally seen here on the Western Hemisphere, especially on our own territory, on our own land. It's not something we get to experience on a daily basis. And I would like to first off give a prayer and a moment of thought and silence to the people overseas in Palestine and Israel right now fighting this war against each other, and mainly to all the innocent families lost, and to everyone in the ongoing war. With that being said, um, I do support Palestine. I pray for Palestine as much as I pray for the Israeli people, people of Israel. And reason being is because, well, Israel did to Palestine essentially what we did to the Native Americans here in United States of America. We came looking for sanctuary from another land where we were originally persecuted, only to turn around and murder all the people who opened their arms to us and hope to eradicate them in order to take their land. As America as that sounds, it's not right. And we did it once to the native people here, and that's exactly what the people of Israel began to do to the people of Palestine since like 1924. It's been about 80 years, 100 years or so now, of them consecutively pushing the people of Palestine out of their land. And you haven't heard about it until now, because now is essentially the only time that Palestine has been able to do anything in regards to the matter. And what other coincidences that USA would be behind Israel at the moment of time that Palestine finally gets to do something to step up and fight back. We are not the support. We are not the grandmother. We are the bullies of the world. That is right. We are the bullies. USA, America. As much as I love America completely. But we are the bullies. We stuff our noses in places that do not belong, in places that do not need us, and essentially we love war. That's one thing that America will never ever say, but we love war. We do war because that's what we do. That's why we don't have free healthcare. That's why we pay heavily on taxes, because of war. We love war. We stick our noses in places that shouldn't be. There's a lot of conspiracies behind our involvement in a lot of things. A lot of conspiracies as to why we start wars to begin with. And just really trying to take control of smaller countries and then inevitably changing their rulers to be dictators in our textbooks in our history. But that's a story for another day. Second part of this video, I wanted to say racism is good. Not for the sole basis of throwing racial slurs at every person you don't like or who is another color, another religion, culture. or ideals than yours, but more so for the individualistic personal belief aspect of racism. We want to have individualism, but we fail to comply with the individualistic thought that comes from a third party perspective that's not our own when our individualism is in question. And what I mean by this, you can be black, white, purple, blue, yellow, brown, or orange. Religion doesn't matter. Culture doesn't matter. We want what is associated with our culture, the divinity of our culture, the uniqueness of our culture, but we hate it when someone acknowledges the difference in our culture. Whether it's good or bad, it is an acknowledgement of your culture. Stereotypes do exist. So I will go against the mainstream thought to say that stereotypes aren't a thing. Stereotypes are indeed a thing. By being of Mexican, Hispanic descent, I am more likely throughout my life to have the opportunity to eat a tortilla. Just, it's not necessarily a stereotype. It is, but it's also indeed a fact. It's also very much indeed a fact. So to say that that idea is racist, I think is a double entendre. It cancels itself out in a sense, because I can't say that racism is bad because it's a matter of public and personal opinion. Just as is having your culture is individual to you, a belief of yours is also individual to you. To take away the idea of racism is to be racist. If racism did not exist, we want to all be the same, but the reality is we're not the same. So if we embrace that individualism of each other, we are acknowledging that we are not indeed the same. Does that make sense? Because we are not the same. To get treated the same, by what standards? That's a whole nother talk to get into. By what standards would one define being treated equally? Because, on a broad scale, on a general scale, I feel like we're all treated equally. I mean, we all eat, we all poop, we all thirst, we all crave for sex. The most carnal instincts we all individually have. So, I mean, in general, we are all equal. We as humans do humanistic shit. It's just the mode of just perspectives between different individuals. But if you were to take that perspective, you are to take that individual's individualism. Therefore, stripping him of his is like stripping you of yours. You must think about that when we think about what we think that racism necessarily is. It's just a matter of personal opinion, but it's also a matter of individualism. To take that away is to take a person's individualism. It's just like taking away your culture. You are who you are because of your heritage. To take away that heritage, you are not who you are. So then who would you be? And that is another question to ask once you've considered all of these things. I want to leave you guys with really just some words of advice. A lot of times in life we see the opportunities ahead of us just merely as pathways to the next step, rather than objectively viewing the obstacle or the path ahead of us and realizing the consequences of it from the past, present, and future side of things. We more likely figure that out and process that slowly. So maybe perhaps take our time when fulfilling decisions and going through with decisions. One thing I'll leave you with is to not make large-scale decisions when you are sad, because a moment of bliss is worth a life of risk. Think about that. I'll leave you guys with that. Have a good evening.